Welcome to USA Biz Party, the party after the party, the chat after the chat. I'm Anna Scheller. I am your host, and I am so glad that you are joining me today. USA Biz Party, we've been going for over 4 years now, and we've actually been pretty consistent. And we talk about things that have to do with your business. What are some things that you need to be aware of, or you need to have conversation about that can help you grow your business here in the United States? Event, right?
I'm just another cog in the USA Biz Party wheel.
Well, I don't know. There are times, we could go on. We could debate about that. We're not going to. Esther is the voice behind USA Biz Party, but she also runs her own business, IPA Group. And why don't you tell people a little bit about IPA Group, what you do, and how you help people grow their businesses?
Thanks, Anna. So IPA Group is an innovative publicity and advertising group. So it's digital marketing made easy. We help businesses grow their digital following. We help businesses with their online presence. We show them how it's done. We help them do it for them. And part of what we do is building websites. And that's why Anna asked me to chat today.
Exactly. Let me see. Where am I? There I am. Okay. So a lot of times, people kind of go back and forth about websites, which I'm still pretty surprised in the year 2021, especially with everything that's happened in the last couple of years with the pandemic and actually brick and mortar businesses shutting down. So you would think that we wouldn't have to address these questions, Esther, but what are some of the objections that people have to building a website?
So some of the main objections are, well, I already have a Facebook page or, a social media presence. I have a Shopify account set up through my Instagram. I sell through Amazon. People find me on those, so I don't need to have my own website. And we would say to people, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful that you have those presences as well. But if anything, in the last number of months, even, we've noticed the number of times that Instagram down is trending, or even Twitter down is trending over on Facebook, and social media platforms collapse. And yeah, it's nice to have it all just in one place. So you're only selling through Facebook or Amazon or, wherever that you're selling through. But when those crash, or if they get bought out by the competition, which is also a real threat these days, the rules can change on a daily basis, and you just end up following what they dictate that you have to do. So Amazon lets you sell on their platform, but at what cost? How much does it cost you to host your products there? How much does it cost you in terms of, time and money to update your items there and to follow their rules, regards to postage and packaging, or if it's just a matter of, well, that product's not allowed to be sold in another country, et cetera, et cetera. So the rules and regulations by all the other social platforms, just you can bypass them all by having your own website. And it just makes sense to have it all in one place, and you use that place on your social media to send your followers.
Kind of like a headquarters, a home base. You really need a home base where you are developing your content. I was thinking as you were talking about some of the platforms that have come and gone. So I remember I never got involved in this one, but there was MySpace. Now, I don't even know if MySpace exists. I think it still does,
Not
but
anymore.
it's not. It doesn't. Okay. So it's,
I don't know anybody that's on it. I think it got eaten up by Facebook back in the day.
Exactly. And then I remember, because you and I met through a platform called Blab, and Blab no longer exists. And so it's not just that they can change the rules and they can change the algorithms, and then now you have to figure out something new to get back in touch with your customers. But you also have to consider that these platforms can disappear. I mean, they, like you said, they could be bought out. And of course, you want to stay relevant on the platforms, but you still want to have your space where
Yeah.
you are able to put out the content that you desire. And I'm not going to, censorship's kind of a strong word, but the social media platforms can decide what content gets pushed out and what
Yeah.
content does not. So there's a freedom of speech issue as well that can play into it. Now, I personally, I stay away from politics and I stay away from religion, apart from encouraging people. But there are some people whose businesses are specifically dealing with that. And so
Mhm.
you want to have your presence. And also you need it. Facebook's not sufficient to drive for SEO, for driving
No.
people to find you.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yes, the social media platforms are useful in helping people find you. If they Google looking for you and you come up with your LinkedIn profile because you have it optimized as well, then it helps your website. It helps with the SEO, but they're not just going to find you based on your name. You know, they're not just going to find you based on your business name, which, let's face it, if everybody could just find us based on our business name, we wouldn't be in business. You know, we wouldn't need to be selling SEO and selling optimization and things. It would be wonderful. But there's so many businesses that have the same name out there, or they have similar names, and Google just goes, oh, do you mean this or do you mean the other? So it's just constantly changing, constantly updating. Even Google itself, you know, even when you have your website, you have to sort of move with their rules and their updates. Like we were talking in the chat about mobile optimization. It came in years ago, and there are some websites that still aren't mobile optimized, you know, so that people can view them on their, as we call it over here in the UK, mobile phone or cell phone, without having to, you know, enlarge it or make it smaller, make it fit the screen. It should automatically do that. But some websites still don't because they haven't been looked at in years. Another thing that's come in quite recently that a lot of businesses are needing to do is to update it for accessibility. So if someone who is blind or needs to listen to the website, you know, if they need to have the website read to them, can it be read to them? If they're colorblind, what are your brand colors doing to them when they go on your website? Can they see it okay based on the colors that are there? So all of these things that, you know, have probably been around for years. You know, there have been colorblind people since the word dot. So why have these issues never come up before when it comes to websites? And now they're sort of legislation in a way that you must have your website optimized for accessibility, because otherwise Google won't rank you as highly, you know? So Google as well changes all the rules. And, you know, there are other search platforms out there, but we always seem to go to Google to look for things rather than Bing or DuckDuckGo or any of the others that are there. But so we still need to follow the rules and regulations to a point with the big guys like Google. But like you said, your content can be free and open and, you know, free from restrictions that the social media platforms would flag you for.
right. Again, it gets back to websites are not a one and done deal. You know, I mean, even looking back at my website, my personal website, I was reading through it and I thought, oh my goodness, there's so much that I need, even in the content, the copy that I have in there, that because I have greater knowledge, because I know more, that I really need to make sure that the website reflects that. You know, and another thing that came to mind as you were talking, Esther, is if I go to somebody's Facebook page, but I don't find their website,
Mhm.
to me, it's not as,
Credible.
exactly. Yeah. A website adds credibility.
Yeah.
So, and I can, for example, I'm thinking of a restaurant here in town that does not have a website. Now, it's a very popular restaurant. I love to go to this restaurant all the time. But when I go to look, their website could have a blog, you know, how to take some of their food or how to create the recipes at home, they could have their menu there, and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a PDF, and it can be interactive. And there's
Yeah.
just so much
And
more
yeah,
the website can do.
they can have a booking platform. They could have a booking platform right there so that you can book online and see, oh, there's a table available tonight. Let's go. Rather than having to phone them and, we're turning into a society that doesn't like to make phone calls anymore. I've noticed that more and more. So all these places that you can just click a button and click on an app and go, right, I'm booking that table for tonight for a family of 4, for myself and my husband, for, such and such a date in the future. And then you don't have to worry about it again. It's already done. And without the hassle of phoning up and going, oh, have you such and such available? No, I don't. Well, what about that date? No, nothing available. No, I'm not free at that time. So it takes out that whole, literally, like, we live moment to moment, and we live in a time where every second counts. So the easier you can make it for people by having this information on your website, like you said, that restaurant could have how they support the local farmers in the area, where they buy their produce, showing that sustainability as well. A lot of companies now, a lot of people, a lot of patrons now want to see zero carbon footprint. So if they can walk down the street and buy the ingredients from the local farmers market, that's even better for their credibility than just saying, well, we buy within the state of Texas, because that state is huge,
Precisely. People want to know more about you. And let's face it, on your Facebook page, all of that is it's just, people are just going to read through the news feed. So it could get lost in the news feed. Whereas if you have a website, you can have your blog, and people can go to the blog. People can find the about you, and they don't have to go scrambling around. Website really does lend to credibility. Now, one of the things, of course, we're talking about the importance of a website. We're not saying that Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram, those aren't valuable. They really, really are, but they can be extensions of what you're doing on your website, not the landing platform for your website or for your business. Because again, we know these platforms can go down. We know that they can change. And even though we know Google does change, that's the importance of the next topic I want to bring up. And that is, we've been talking about the importance of updating, and it can seem overwhelming. I think about how busy my company has become, which, by the way, is Capri Temporary Housing. We've exploded in growth in the last year. And so I was looking at the website. I brought on a new team member, and she said, Anna, it needs to be updated. And I laughed and I go, right. Absolutely needs to be updated. I'm looking at, I want to look at what it would cost to get an app involved. Can we get a booking engine in there? Those kinds of things, because those are things that the easier you make it for somebody to interact with you, the more likely you are to get their business. They're at your website for a reason. They're interested in learning more about you and seeing if you can help them. So talk a little bit about, the kinds of updates. We talked somewhat of that, but also the importance of having somebody dedicated to your website, because as we said, it's not a one and done. When I look at somebody's website, I actually now check to see when's the latest blog post. I also check to see when's the last time they did any updating, because sometimes you'll see that the website says copyright 2019. I'm like, wow, they haven't even looked at their website since in 2 years. So I don't know what's really going on in their business. I don't know how to really interact with them in the 2 years that have happened since then.
Yeah, and it could be as simple as that's one part of the website that they missed, or they don't put their dates on their blogs. But one of the things, updating your website can be as simple as just during COVID times of putting, we are still open, or, we're temporarily closed, things like that. And you can use Google My Business for that as well, which is another extension. It's another social media end to it. But one of the main things, or one of the main ways that you can update your website is, like you said, with blogs and with vlogs, which is videos. So adding those in, having those, and when we say regularly, it can be once a month, once every 3 weeks. As long as you're doing it on, continuously on those times, it can be once every 3 months, but you're still updating it. You're adding in new team members. Have they got information, a bio on your website? How do you celebrate, your big wins? Are you writing your blogs, or are you just sharing them on your social media? Those sorts of things can be really easily updated, and you can either, go in and do it yourself, or you can send them to your web design team and they can go in and update them for you. It is a matter of, your web design team is wonderful to have, but if you don't give them the information, they don't know what to update. So there has to always be that input from the website owner to say, oh, I now need this, this, and this. And the web team to go back and go, okay, so for that, we need photographs for this, this, and this. And if we can't, in our case, as the web design team, if we can't provide the photographs, we have to wait again until the owner of the website can provide them for us and give us those updates. We're not mind readers at the end of the day, we're humans, and we need to say, we need to keep going with the information that we have. But if we don't have all the information, we can't, make the necessary changes. Yet if you update your logo, first thing you do, get on your website, change your logo, change your branding, change your colors, make sure that's right there front and center, But if you change your logo everywhere else and not on your website, then you're missing that continuity and that, again, that, what was the word we said? Not consistency, but the word whenever.
What was that word?
What was that word? Like reliability, so that people can look at your website and go, oh yeah, they are there. They're someone that we can trust because they have that web presence, and it's the same credibility. That's the word. And they have. That's been a long day. They have that across all your same. You have the same voice across all your platforms.
And that continuity of voice is super important, because you want to be singing the same song. Even I can't remember where I was, but actually I was at a business retreat last week in Utah with Jeff Hoffman. And Jeff Hoffman, for those of you who don't know, if you have ever been flying in the last 2 or 3 years, you've walked up to a kiosk and you've been able to get your ticket at the kiosk. You haven't had to wait in these long, long lines, unless, of course, you're dropping off your baggage. But those kiosks, Jeff Hoffman built them. He is the inventor of those kiosks. Ever heard of Priceline? Jeff Hoffman was part of a team that put together Priceline. And so he said, if there's anything you want to be able to do, is you have to have a singular message across everywhere you go, so that people know exactly what you do. Is it sell more flowers? Is it build more websites? Is it write more novels? Is it write coming of age novel? Whatever it is, what you want to do is you want to have a singular message that is uniform. There's a lot of diversity in that uniformity, but you want one message that's across the board, that is based, your website should be the place where everything emanates out of. It's like my hometown is Del Rio, Texas. And so when people ask where I'm from, I tell them I'm from Del Rio, Texas. Even though I have business in California and Arizona and Indiana, and we have business that's spread out across these different locations, this particular, everything I do comes from Del Rio, Texas.
Yeah.
Everything you do should come from your website.
Yes. And like you were saying earlier, you have extended your team. If the people watching have extended their team and they include a social media manager, for example, someone to run the social media, one of the first things they will ask for is the link to your website, so that they have ready-made content to share across, so that they can see your brand persona and your brand voice, so that they can see the message that you're sharing there and replicate it across your social media. that's the first thing that I would always ask for whenever we're starting to run somebody's social media. If the website is not up to scratch, it's not something that you would want to share across. If it's not been updated in the last 3, 4, 5 years, then you're not going to want to share that with your audience, and you're not going to want other people coming and going, oh, I mean, are they still in business? Have they been keeping up with all the changes? There are so many things to do in business. You don't need another headache of people landing on your website and bouncing straight back off because it doesn't load fast enough. It's not responsive. It's not visible on mobile. Like all the things we've already said. People want, like we've said, they want speed. They want to be able to get what they want to get from your website as fast as possible. So whether it's landing there and finding out the information, or clicking straight on your website to be able to call you, or clicking to send you an email, booking a table, etc., etc., they want it all to be right there without having to click through. They call it the rule of thumb. So when you're scrolling up on your phone, can people find your call to action button and click it without having to lift their hand and use their other finger, or you lift their other hand? So how easy is that for people that are landing on your website? And when you build your website, make sure your Google Analytics are connected so that you can see where people are coming in from and where they're leaving. So it'll give you a really good insight into what parts of your website are being neglected, where you need to update more, and what it is that you need to do more of. If they're landing always on the blogs about how to, then do more how-to blogs. If they're landing more in the videos than on the written content, do more videos. Your Google Analytics is gold dust. You should always be looking at your analytics. And that goes for every platform.
Wow. I learned a lot just listening to that. I'm like, okay, no wonder I need some help. And I say that because Esther keeps about monthly. Hey, you ready to do this? So
maybe I should try weekly now, Anna.
yeah, you'll have to bug me weekly. You'll have to bug me weekly. Well, one of the things we will be talking about apps, because I'm beginning to see, just for my own experience as a user, how valuable apps are. And so this again is an integration. What you want to do, your website is there to help you grow your business. It's not just a megaphone for you. It is really a storefront. It's a way to let people know how you can help them. And almost even in Africa, the world is on the World Wide Web. And so you absolutely, positively have to be there if you're going to be relevant, if you're going to get the customers. Now, if you're happy with the way things are, don't worry about it. But if you really want to grow, that's what USA Biz Party's about, is growing your business, then you need to find a good website developer. Speaking of a good website developer, I'm going to let Esther do a little promo here for you. So go for it, Esther.
Thank you, Anna. So yes, we at IPA Group are here to help you with your web presence. So if you already have a website, or if you don't have one at all and would love one set up, we are a fully bilingual agency in English and Spanish. We have our main offices here in the United Kingdom in Northern Ireland. We also have offices in the Republic of Ireland and in Mexico. So, I mean, the world is your oyster. If you speak English or Spanish or need your website in those languages, you can come to us and we can help you get your website set up. We help you host it and maintain it and develop it and design it and everything. So all we do is ask you for the content and we take it from there, and we are happy to help. And if you contact me and quote USA Biz Party, then I'm sure I can get you a little discount as well.
Awesome. And how do they contact you, Esther?
Oh yeah, that would be good. So our website is ipagroup.co. So there's no com or .co.uk, it's just .co. Or you can email me directly at Esther, which is ESTHER, at ipagroup.co.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Esther, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being my co-conspirator in crime for all these years. One of the things that we talked about during this chat is we're going to put together a Zoom meetup so that, number one, it won't cost anybody but a little bit of time, and we can just come together and share and talk. That will be something we'll put together for October. In the meantime, thank you again, Esther, for joining. Thank you for all that you do behind the scenes for USA Biz Party. Appreciate it so, so very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Anna. It's a joy and a privilege to work with you and USA Biz Party.
Thank you. Speaking of USA Biz Party, we meet every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will start getting back into doing the live streams, but in the meantime, you can just use the hashtag USA Biz Party. You can find out what the topic is, what we're discussing. You don't have to be with us during the hour. You can look at it, put a Q in there to see what the questions are, and you can interact. We will interact with you because we really want to get to know you. Thank you for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you with us today, and join us again next week at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think we're going to be talking about PR. PR? Is that right, Esther? Esther's nodding. So we do have a special guest, Help Out a Reporter, is going to be joining us. I'm super excited about that. If you want to know how to get more publicity for your business, you want to join us then. Thank you for being with us, and signing off now.